Hello, and welcome to the ultimate guide to 3D printing in Voices of the Void. This guide is for people who know absolutely nothing about Blender and will cover everything but two subjects: posing and rigging. But depending on what model you get, you might not even have to touch those subjects. Now this is a longer video, so I'll split it up into chapters. Chapter 0A is the introduction. This will cover what the video is and who it is for, the structure of the video, the section you're on now, and the rules we have to obey by. In section 0B, we'll cover where to get models and how to fix them. And with that model you get determines where we go from here. We would go to chapter 1A if we're using a PBR texture. Then we'll go to chapter 1B for everything around our materials. After dealing with all your textures, we can move on to 2A, where we handle collisions and setting them up. Then we're going to move on to chapter 2B, where we're going to be exporting into the right file paths with the right names. And then finally, chapter 3, the in-game settings and printing our model. Now there are some rules we have to obey by. This includes only having one mesh, one or more collider boxes, and as many materials as we want. This material includes one image texture, one normal map in DirectX format, one emission map, and one PBR. And this PBR is mapped to the red channel having metallic, the green channel having specular, and the blue channel having roughness. Now there are also a few things to note. We're not allowed any custom shaders, and when importing, Unreal doubles all of our vertices. This includes our base mesh and our colliders. I've found that it can stack up pretty fast. Backface culling is on, so we can use techniques like the convex hull to generate an outline around our character. And with that in mind, we can move on to the next chapter. First, to get models, I would recommend going to the game ready assets in the link in the description. This link contains assets that are already set up, so you won't have to do anything to them. It mainly just contains popular memes and community driven stuff. If you can't find what you're looking for there, I'd recommend going to the models resource. There you can find about 99% of stuff, with the caveat that you have to set it up for Voices of the Void.
What the hell is this?
And lastly, DeviantArt. If you can't find it anywhere else, you have to go to that hellhole. I know it sucks. Also, don't even bother using their search engine. Just use Google. So I've just downloaded a model off one of those sites and I'm just going to import it. With the new Blender version, I can just drag and drop my file into the scene. But unfortunately this feature doesn't support FBXs, which you can just manually import this way. Now immediately we can tell something's up. It don't look right. But before we get to that, I just want to say, if you import your model and it's purple or fully black, it's an image texture problem. We can simply fix it if it's purple by going to external data and then find missing files. From there you just want to select the file that all your textures are in and just press OK. If it's still black after that, then you will have to make the material for it, and we'll cover that in the next section. But you want to see something fucked up? Damn crying shame. Damn crying shame. Alright, to fix this little dookie smear effect, we're going to fix our normals by going A for select all, we're going to press tab for edit mode, we're going to go A again to select all our verts, and then on the menu bar we're going to go mesh, normals, then reset our vectors. And this will fix our caca lady. Another issue that I found that this mesh has is that all of its verts are split up. This is mainly just a byproduct from ripping from games. We can fix this by selecting all of our meshes by going A, tab for edit mode, and then going A again to select all our verts, and then going M to merge. And we're going to pick by distance. And we can see that 3,326 verts have been connected to each other. And lastly, we need to talk about n-gons. N-gons are a face that consists of 5 or more vertexes. Did you know that every face is made out of triangles? When this quad is drawn, the computer is splitting in half, turning into 2 triangles. Well, this is fine when we have only 4 vertexes to work with, but when we have 5 or more, the computer doesn't quite know how to split up the mesh. And so it just guesses. Sometimes this can work, other times it has bad results. Okay, but how do we fix our n-gons? Well, there's actually 2 ways of doing this. We've got the first method, which is quite time consuming to do, but will have much better results. And then we have the second method, which takes no time at all. It can just be done during export, but it will increase our vert count by double. We'll cover the manual method first. So, click on the object, go tab for edit mode, and then we're just going to go select by trait, and then faces by side. And then we get this pop-up on the bottom left, where we're going to want to enter in 5 and greater than. This will select every face in our object that has more than 5 vertices, aka an n-gon. As I can see, my face here is an n-gon. Shocker. I'm going to fix this n-gon by going to my vert select mode, clicking the 2 adjacent vertices and pressing J for join. And now just do this manually for all the other verts that were selected by our original faces by side selection. But you're probably wondering, wow, that sure sounds like a total pain in my ass. Which brings us on to the second method, the really easy and quick one. So just adding more n-gons. And we do our faces by side selection, and oh, that's a lot. I don't want to do that. So to fix that, when we do our export, we want to go into this geometry setting, and under there, tick triangulate faces. Now this is the quick and dirty way of doing it because it will essentially add more verts than we need. It will connect all of the verts together, like this. As compared to the manual one we did, we can see that it's a lot less efficient. And that's the 2 methods. And with that, that concludes fixing this model. Now, as far as I can tell, these are the most common issues you'll find with importing a model. But if there are any that I didn't cover, please leave them in the comments. Now, after importing our first model, I can clearly see that there are some issues with the normals, so I'm just going to fix them real quickly. Also, I can see a giant seam in the middle of it, so I'm going to also fix that. Looking at the side here, I can see that we have a material applied to our mesh, but there's nothing actually in it, so let's fix that. Just pop on over to the shading tab, and I'm going to open up my resources folder and dump all the texture files into it. I'm going to add the base color to the base color. To add the normal map, we're going to press Shift A and add a normal map. And we're just going to plug it in like this. And adding our normal map has made a noticeable seam in our mesh, so I'm just going to change the target space on it. And that works. And then I'm going to plug in my roughness. But as you can see, even though in Blender this will be the correct formation to put in roughness, but this is not the way that Voices of the Void will read our texture files. I'm gonna go Shift A and add a separate color. With this, our red channel is gonna equal metallic, our green channel is gonna equal our specular, and our blue channel is going to equal our roughness. This setup that I have is a demonstration of how Voices of the Void will read your texture maps. I also want to preference that setting up this shader is not required at all. But we do have an issue as our roughness texture isn't packed at all. But what is packing and what is our roughness texture? Every pixel on the map has a value of 1 to 0, aka white to black. This tells the computer how much of an attribute's effect to apply to that pixel. For us, because we're only using one texture on roughness, 0, aka black, would be nothing. Nothing is applied there. And 1, being white, would mean there is full roughness being applied to that pixel. Now, you'd think that it being in monochrome, it would be resourceful, but it isn't. See, to display black and white, we're still using RGB, just at an equal level. Not only that, but if we were to have multiple texture files for each attribute, it would become expensive and unoptimized.
His medicine. I gave him his medicine, Mario.
Well, he still hasn't calmed down. Do something else.
Okay, let's see.
Oh my god, I can allocate each attribute to its own color channel.
That's right! We can fit multiple textures into each channel. So doing that with our texture gives us this result. Now ours looks pretty clean because we only have to use the roughness texture map on it. But in other cases it can become quite fucking ugly.
So Aaron, how do we do it?
Alright, hey, Live Aaron here. This is the part where I just go over how do I texture pack. I've already split everything up so it's all set up. We're just gonna go ahead, click on one, open with Photoshop. Just gonna add the other files in there. So that was the blue, so we want green. God. Green and red. Just drag them in, drop them. Yeah, blah 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 blah. We're just gonna double click on the icon and set it to what it is. So this one's red, so we're gonna turn off the blue channels and the green channels. We're just gonna do that for all of them. Lovely doubly. Yeah, and file, export as PNG, you're done. But also, what if we wanted to extract them? Why would we want to extract our channels? Because not every game goes by the rules that we are. Because we're doing red equals metallic, green equals specular, blue equals roughness. Not every game goes by that. So, for this example, I'm just gonna combine them. So, how do we extract this? We're just gonna go channels. Make sure all of them are selected and go split channels. What would that do? It'll create different files of them. We also get the alpha channel, but we don't want that. It's stinky. No one cares about that one. And yeah, you can just go back to the step before and rebuild it. So it's all in the correct position. Anyway, love you, bye bye. After packing the texture, we can just remove the old one and replace it. And yeah, that's all we need to do. You can move on to the next step. So, importing our model into Blender. It was saved as an FBX, so I'm just going to go and import it real quickly. Okay, so first we're going to start off by connecting all of our meshes together. I can see already that my meshes are children of the armature. So the way this works is that each of our meshes each have their own material, and by joining the meshes into one, we are not only passing the one mesh rule, but also putting all of our materials into one place. We can do this by highlighting all of our meshes, going Object, then Join. If you don't know, materials are applied to a mesh's face. I'm going to show you this by selecting the faces that our materials are connected to. I want you to understand this because it will help with things down the line. We're going to start off by renaming our material names. Now I find it much more easier just to keep it simple and name them just Mat1, Mat2, Mat3, Mat4 and etc. And if you're going to go with a custom name though, you can't have any spaces, underscores or full stops in them. Okay, here I've built a diagram. Okay, so the mesh on the left here represents our melon model, just boiled down to its most basic form. And like what I said before, each material is applied to a face of that mesh. And then we have this fucking thing. So it looks complicated, but really isn't. Let me just break it down for you. This matrix represents our assets folder. The way it will work is that it will read the name Mat1, it will look at the diffuse, which we have one, it will look at the emission, which we don't, PBR, we don't, normal, we don't, and then it will build that material. And it will do it through the file names. That's why our file names are the exact same as our material names. Now you're probably thinking, wow, we're missing a lot of maps. No, we aren't. That's completely fine. We can have as many or as little as we need. To show this, look at the matrix for the Haiti model. Or this much more larger one. Any size we have, it will just work as long as we have the right names. Now, we're not going to be acting on this information right now, but I just need you to understand how and why it works. What are collisions? Well, it reminds me of that one time
Peter, this is the most reckless thing you've ever done.
Oh, come on, Lois. What about the time I was on that airplane?
Great, now you know everything there ever was to need to know about collisions. So let's begin making one. We're going to begin by going Shift A and adding a default cube. And with that default cube, we're going to press S 100, then enter. And what that will do is scale our cube up by 100 units. The giant cube that we just made is going to be our reference point, as it's the exact same size as the in-game printer. In-game, I've done some testing and I've found that where the orange line is, the horizontal one, that's about your eye level in-game, so keep that as a frame of reference when scaling. Anywho, to get into this view, you just want to press numpad 1. And we're going to use S to scale, and G to grab and move our model around. Instead of removing our reference cube, we're just going to size it down and use it as our collider. I'm going to press tab to go into edit mode, and I'm going to go into face selection mode. I'm going to click on the top face and drag it up. When dragging, I'm going to press Y so I only drag it on the Y axis. Now, the example that I've done is pretty much the most basic, simple thing you could possibly do. And you don't have to do that, you can go as wild as you want, have the collisions as detailed as you want. You're allowed multiple, here are some examples of others, go hog wild. Once you're done blocking out your colliders, we go to the top right, and there we can find all our colliders that we've made. For us, we've only made one, but if you've made multiple, that's all good. We're going to rename them, beginning with the suffix UCX_. Doing this tells Voices of the Void that these are collision boxes. And that concludes setting up our collisions. Select your character mesh and the collision box. Go File, Export, and export it as a .obj. We're gonna go to this directory and then add an extra folder. This folder's name has to be the exact same as our object name. And we just want to tick this selection only. Then we can export it. If you're planning on accessing this a lot, you can bookmark it here. So, opening up our directory, I'm just gonna explain this a little better. This is our directory's landing page. It's where we'll store all of our folders containing our models. Going into my models folder, I need to fill it out with the rest of the textures. I'm going to rename them to their corresponding material name. I'm going to move them over into my directory folder. Then I'm going to add the prefixes for what texture map they are. Since mine are all diffusion maps, I'm just going to write diffuse underscore as the prefix. I want to bring you back to this matrix. So now you can finally see how it works once we've got it in file and with the correct names. This is what it would look like for the Haiti model, the larger Mio model, and also the Sybil one, which I have not shown off yet, but here it is. In-game, interacting with the 3D printer gives us this menu. On the left we have our models list, and on the right we have the properties of those models. When we hit refresh, we are refreshing the directory that holds all of our models. And when we click on the model, this will refresh that models directory, so any changes you'll make will get refreshed when we click on it. Also, the first time loading a model will generate a config file in it. If we ever mess up the config file, we can just reset it here, and if we can't be bothered going into a directory, we can just open it from here. Loading our model, we get a lot of error messages. This is just the game telling us that we're missing a lot of textures, which is completely fine because we're not using all of the textures that we have available. With the config file generated, we can just open it using Notepad. This first section is our filtering. 0 equals nearest neighbor and 1 equals bilinear. If you don't know what that means, just use 0 if you have a low resolution texture, and if you have a high one, use 1. After that, we have our physical materials. This is just the material properties your object will inherit. This is things like mass, or the sound it makes when it hits an object. Emissive strength is for how strong your emissive maps are. 1 is flatly lit, and anything more than that is a continuous glow. The next category is all the lamp settings. IsLamp is just 0 for off and 1 for on. Lamp color is just the RGB value, pretty obvious. And the lamp offset is where the lamp is actually spawned. In Blender, we can find the coordinates by adding an empty object and just moving it to where we want the light to spawn. If you don't see this little tab, just press N. But when we do type in our coordinates, we need the Y value to be negated, which just means that if it's a positive, it becomes a negative, and if it's a negative, it becomes a positive. Next up is light intensity. This is just the brightness of it. Lamp attenuation is just how severe the fall off is. And the lamp shadow is just whether or not we'll cast a shadow off our own mesh. And now with all that crap finally explained, we can finally begin our print. And while that's going on, I want to talk about invert holes. It's a little trick we can do to get an outline on every model we have. And the best part about it is that we can make it any thickness and any color. The only issue with it is that it will double our vertices again. I won't cover it, but I'll leave a link in the description on how to achieve it. And congratulations! You made it this far. I want to say thank you for how well received the other porting video was, and thank you for watching this one as well. It took a really long time to make, and in that time I've made a Twitter recently. It's where I upload pretty much all of my 3D stuff, so all like the chapters, changes, all that's there. So if it interests you, I'll leave a link in the description to it. I also plan on keeping this video series, the porting and the Ultimate Guide ones, up to date with any future versions that come out, and more gaming stuff whenever I get around to it. And yeah, just thank you again. It means a lot to me when you guys just find this stuff useful and I can help you guys out with it. So thanks.